right, guys, we are back for lesson 24. Hopefully, you were able to get through lesson 23 fairly quickly, and you understand that we are definitely examining those themes and how tone can help us kind of come to the conclusion of what theme we might be looking at is very helpful in this particular case. So, we are going to examine some more themes, but across the genres. So, when we say genre, we just mean a different type of text or reading of some sort. So what you're going to need with you today is the same thing that we've been using along the way. I do want to make a note though and make sure that you guys are working on Quill. So Quill is something that is new to us, but it is a word structure and writing app that is very similar to No Red Ink. If some of you guys were in my focus class and used No Red Ink with me, then you are very familiar with this type of platform, so to speak. So Quill is going to work on your sentence structure and your writing, as well as word choice and word parts and grammar. Okay, so make sure that you're working in that. By this point, you should have already taken the diagnostic tests that have been given to you. We're probably going to add a few more assignments in there, but after you've taken the diagnostic, then it is going to generate some things that you need to work on. So make sure that you have done those things, and if you're following along with the agendas that we have pushed out for you, the day-to-day, what you should be doing each day, you'll notice that once you have those diagnostics out of the way, that it's only about a 10 to 15 minutes working on Quill each day, okay? So just make sure that you're working on Quill as we are moving along in our lessons, okay? All right, so let's go with lesson 24 today. You remember in 23, we looked at a poem, we looked at informational text, we looked at photography, and we also looked at an audio interview, and we explored or analyzed those different sources for migrant life to kind of get a better understanding of what migrant life was like during this particular time. Today, what we're going to do is that we're going to examine the themes within those different genres. So we are going to look at themes communicated by the photographer. We're also going to examine poems in Out of the Dust which share those themes. So we're going to look at the commonalities between the two genres or the two different sources, and we're going to examine those for theme. All right, so again, what you'll need is that same picture, page 33. Really what you'll need from that is your notes. I'm going to show you in our PowerPoint slides today those pictures again. So don't worry about, again, being able to see the visual on page 33. Really what you want to be looking for is the notes that you took last lesson about 33 when we first looked at that picture for the first time. And then, of course, you're going to need your reading log and your Out of the Dust novel or the PDF that we have provided for you. All right, so let's look at this picture again. Remember when we talked about theme before, we talked about identifying whatever the subject or the topic was that we were trying to get to, right? So if we're looking at something and we're reading something, we want to really look at it for what is its purpose? What is its message? Remember, that's what theme is, right? The message. What is the message that we're supposed to get out of this? What does the photographer wish to communicate about the subject or topic? So your initial thought, what is it when you look at this? What is the subject or topic here? Look at these photos and ask yourself those same questions. What is it that the photographer is really taking a picture of? What are the intentions of the photographer, and how did you feel when you first looked at these pictures? Those are all the questions that you need to ask yourself when you're looking at these particular photographs and trying to figure out what is the subject, what is the topic, in order for us to come up with a theme of the photographs. So we know that this is a picture of a migrant family, right? We know that it is the mother and her 4 children. So, subject is what here? If we think about it in terms of what was the photographer's intentions, you can go all the way back to what the photographer said about it, right? Or the Okies article where it told us what the intentions of these photographers were. The intentions were for them to capture what life was like. Here you go. This is what life was like. So how does that make you feel when you look at that? So we know that subject or topic is what life was like. And if you think about how it made you feel, to me, my thoughts are it makes me feel a little sad, kind of the same way that Billy Joe felt when everybody was leaving, right? It's the tone of it. So really look at, when I said a minute ago, the tone can a lot of times give you or steer you in the direction of what the theme is. The tone of this particular photograph and the other ones that we've analyzed so far is really kind of a sad tone. It makes me think that, migrant life was very hard and full of hardships, right? That in itself could be a theme, that the life of a migrant is full of hardships, okay? Another potential theme here could be, you know what, just by looking at this, it makes me want to help people, right? So maybe the message here is that when people are hungry or people are in need, that maybe we should help them. That's another potential theme that we could write here. Maybe even make a theme statement like we did before when we were writing our theme statements based on just the poems, right? What are the poems' themes? What is this photograph's theme? They don't really have a whole lot, I'm noticing when I'm looking at these photographs, and it even said in the poem, we want to compare it, so that they took everything that they had and then it listed some things, right? It's really not a lot here. So it makes me kind of think maybe a theme could even be, when you have nothing left, who do you have? Your family. So what you do see or what you do have in this particular picture is a family together. Not a lot of possessions, but there's a family that is together. And then something else that strikes me here is that the mother, no matter what, no matter how difficult it was or is for her, she's there. She's there caring for her children. She's holding the baby, obviously nurturing lovingly in a way. So, I mean, there's got to be some care there. So I feel like even a theme could be, despite hardships, mothers will always take care of their children, right? So that could be a theme that was intended by the photographer here. So what I want you to do right now is, in your reading log, I want you to create a theme statement for the photos. You can write down any of the ones that I just mentioned, just to kind of get an idea for what a theme statement is, even though we've written some of these before, just to kind of get your mind back into that place. Just go back, rewind a little bit if you want to look at some of the pictures again. I want you to go ahead and write down a theme statement for the photographs in your reading log. Again, set your reading log up for today for lesson 24. And that's the first thing that you're going to do, is write a theme statement for the photographs. When you're done writing that theme statement, go ahead and hit play again on the recording. Go ahead and stop it now, but then hit play on the recording when you're ready to move. All right, so you should have written your theme statement. This was intended to be a class group activity, and I'm sorry that it's not. I definitely wish that I was back in the classroom with you and we could all partner up and do this together. So you were supposed to write this on like sentence strips, and maybe I'll push out a flip grid to you and you can share those theme statements out to your class. But to move on, I want you to think about this. What evidence in the form of visual details did you consider when you developed your statement? So when you came up with your statement, the same way that I talked through how I came up with my statements, how did you come up with yours? That's what's going to help you in the next step of this process. So that's something to think about. So take just another 30-second look at these and think about some of those visual things that you used to develop your theme statement. All right, so now we're going to move into a different genre, right? Or a different type of text or source. So we're going to reread um, Baby, which is on page 184 of your novel. And what you're going to do is you're going to look at this particular poem for similar themes to the migrant mother. See if you can pick out what the theme of Baby is when you read this. And some of the questions, again, that I want you to ask yourself, is how did people react to the baby? How did Billy Joe react to the baby? Why did someone leave the baby? All of those things, that kind of sets the tone to the poem, which again then can lead you to the possible theme of the poem. So I want you to go ahead and stop the recording now and go ahead and read Baby, which is 184, 185, and 186. And I want you to think about what the possible theme would be by trying to answer some of those questions to yourself of, how did the people react to this baby? And why would somebody leave this baby? And how did Billy Joe react to the baby? Those can all lead you to the tone and then possible theme. And we'll discuss this when you push play again. So go ahead and stop, reread, dig into that poem. You've already read it once, so reread it and dig into it again. And we'll discuss it when you push play again. All right, so in discussion of Baby, okay, so if I'm looking at this particular poem, some of the things that stuck out to me when I read this poem was how Billy Joe responded to the baby. She asked her father if they could have the baby. Like everybody was wanting the baby, but she asked her father, if we could adopt it, she says. But he said, we stood about as much chance of getting that baby as the wheat stood of growing, since we couldn't give the baby anything, not even a ma. Now, I think that Pa realized real quickly what he had said and how he probably have hurt Billy Joe's feelings, but in that statement alone, that gives us a really good idea of what the theme of this particular poem could have been. It showed us that all the other people flocked to the baby as far as wanting to help the baby. I think everybody realizes that a child needs a mother or somebody who can care for the child in a mother-like way. And I think that was what the point of this was. And they all wanted to take care of the baby. They all came with blankets and sugar water and tender talk. And the whole of Joy City came forward with gifts. They all wanted to help in some sort of way because they felt that the baby deserved that or needed it. But in that one statement, it made me feel like, but, you know, would they be able to give the baby a ma? And then it goes into talking about how Billy Joe found ma's dimes that she had been saving. And I think that looks into a mother's love, or what a mother was willing to do. As poor as they were and things that they didn't have, ma still saved every dime that Billy Joe made playing the piano. She saved it for Billy Joe. She was hoping that Billy Joe would take that and go to school, use it for school. Now that Ma's not around, now that Billy Joe's hands are burned and she's not playing and she's not able to play, I think that she feels a little like she wants to give to the baby as well, the same as her mom was trying to give to her. So, her dad, she holds on to that, but then her dad also tells her that she could take all of Franklin's clothes that Ma had made for the baby to to the baby if she wanted to. And then it even goes into a little bit further talking about, how she finally, with all of that going on, it kind of brought her back to the piano. And it says at the very last stanza, I sat at her piano a long time after I got back from the church, imagining a song for my little brother, buried in Ma's arms on a knoll overlooking the banks of the Beaver. So the Ma's still with the baby. Even though the baby is passed, even though Ma is passed, they're still together. So again, a Ma with her baby. The baby needs a Ma. It brings us all to this possible theme that, children are precious and that they need their mothers, or they at least need those mother type figures in their lives. And I feel like that all of those things direct us to that particular theme. That mothers are not replaceable, right? That for those who may have experienced any type of parent or parental loss, you might be able to understand that. I have. My mother has passed away, right? Nobody could ever replace my mother, but it definitely shows how important it is to have someone in your life like that, right? Another possible theme statement that we could write here could be, we should be generous to people in need. Billy Joe was very generous to even want to consider to adopt the child, let alone take all of her siblings' clothes to the child, knowing that her sibling had died, and that this child was going to need that nurturing and that love that, again, a mother, especially during that particular time, might bring to the child. So all of those things direct us straight toward the theme. So now that we have recognized or identified theme within the photographs and written a theme statement, we have recognized how to pull a theme statement or write a theme statement, pull a theme out and write a theme statement on based off of one of the poems. What I want you to do is, for your assignment today, you're going to choose a poem, any poem from Out of the Dust. And now, if you remember several lessons back, what did we do? We actually went through and wrote down themes on different poems. So you could even potentially go back to some of those poems that you actually wrote the themes for. But I want you to explain how it shares a similar theme with the photographs. So you definitely want to choose one that shares a similar theme with the photographs. Which words or phrases in the poem help express the theme? So just like I pulled out some of the phrases that helped express the theme, I want you to pull out the phrases that help express the theme. And then how is that theme similar to the theme that you wrote down for the photographs? Some of the poems that you could potentially use, I'm just going to give you some ideas. On page 58 of the novel, Wild Boys of the Road, that could be a good one to go back to. Page 100, Christmas Dinner Without Cranberry Sauce. That's another possible one to look at. Page 119, Guests. And page 121, Family School. Now, you don't have to use any of those. Those are just some possible suggested ones that you could go back to and use to develop that or to pull out that theme statement. But really what I want you to hone in on are what are the words or phrases that you use to pull that theme statement out. So again, you're going to write this down in your reading log, but then you're going to go to that forms and you're going to type it in and you're going to submit it so that we can keep track of how you're doing and see if you're understanding and you're kind of conceptualizing what it is that we're asking you to do. So with that, today's lesson, you determined a theme for photographs, and then you also examined how different genres can express similar themes. So what we're looking at here is comparing, really is what we're doing. We're comparing the poems to the photographs. So we're digging back into the novel. We're going to pull out a poem that shares a similar theme to the photographs, and we're going to examine that poem and pull out some of those keywords or phrases that showed us the theme in that poem. Okay, so like always, let us know if you need anything, and I will be back with you for lessons 25, 26, and 27, I believe. So look for those. We'll put those out. All these lessons are going to be on your daily guides, so don't feel like you have to jump too far ahead. Just follow everything on a day-to-day basis, and you are good to go. Talk to you later. Bye.